A guy rolled into my shop in a brand new Ram that would not shift into four-wheel drive. A little electric motor inside the transfer case had died. $900 to fix. But the old 1990s Ram did that same job with a $10 lever that never broke. Here are 10 things those trucks did better. Number 10. The actual metal key. This one sounds small until the day it leaves you stranded. On a 1996 Ram, you slid a steel key into the column, gave it a twist, and the truck started. That was the whole system. No battery in the key, no little fob to lose, no little computer in the key that has to talk to the truck. I had a customer last month who was stranded in a parking lot because the battery in the key fob on her newer truck died, and the truck flat out refused to recognize it. AAA had to come out. On the old Ram, a dead key fob is not a thing that can happen to you because there is no fob. And when you do lose an old key, a hardware store cuts you a new one for a couple of dollars. Lose a modern Ram fob and you are looking at anywhere from $50 to over $400 once the dealer programs it. Now I will be fair, the very last of these 90s trucks started slipping a chip into the key, so it is not all stone simple. But a metal key you can copy at the mall still beats a computer deciding whether your truck likes you today. That metal key is just the start. Climb into the back of the cab because the next one is something the new trucks made worse by adding more, not less. Number 9. The club cab and those rear hinged doors. In 1998, Dodge did something nobody else in the full-size truck game had done. They put real doors on the back of the Ram 1500, the quad cab, and they hinged them at the back, so they swung open backward like saloon doors. You could load a toolbox or a kid into the back seat without folding the front seat forward and bending yourself like a pretzel to climb in. Chevy did not catch up with a four-door half-ton until 2000. Ford's crew cab F-150 took another year on top of that. Dodge beat both of them to the punch, and nobody gives them credit for it. Here is the part that starts fights at truck meets, though. A lot of guys swear the older club cab actually had more backseat room. That one had jump seats and no rear doors. And without the extra door openings, the cab felt tighter and quieter, with less to rattle. I have crawled around in both, and I will side with the club cab crowd. The quad cab was more convenient, while the club cab felt more solid. Now hop back out of the cab and look at the truck from the rear, because the next thing is something you literally stood on. Number 8. The steel that could take your weight. Look at the back bumper on a 1995 Ram. It's a chunk of chrome steel with a step notch stamped right into it because Dodge expected you to put a boot on it and climb up to reach into the bed. Try standing on the rear bumper of a lot of new trucks and you'll feel the thing flex under you. Same story with the tailgate. The old Ram tailgate is a heavy steel slab. A buddy of mine still daily drives a 1993, and he swears the tailgate weighs more than the entire bed of his wife's crossover. The new ones went to lightweight aluminum, and yeah, it's easier to lift, but they got so fancy they put a motor on the tailgate to drop it for you. A motor on a tailgate of all things. And those fancy power tailgates have cables and little motors that rust out and snap, and a tailgate is now expensive enough that people steal them right off trucks in parking lots. The old steel gate had one moving part, the hinge, plus a latch. You could leave it out in the weather for 20 years and it just worked. The mirrors were honest too, big flat glass you could actually see a trailer in, not a tiny pod stuffed full of cameras. Climb up into the cab now and look at the dashboard because this is where Dodge got something really right and also really wrong. Number 7. The simple gauges in the dashboard they built by spying on actual workers. When the second generation Ram came out in 1994, it won Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and the inside was a big reason why. The design boss sent a guy out into the parking lot with a camera to photograph how contractors were storing their gear in their trucks. The result was a cab full of smart storage, a big glove box, an open bin up top, trays behind the seat, a net to hold your stuff, and a clean set of round analog gauges you could read at a glance. No menus, no screen. Needle points up, you are fine. Needle swings sideways, go check it. Now here is where I get honest with you, because I am not going to pretend these trucks were perfect. The dashboards crack. Chrysler used a cheap plastic, and these dashes split apart in the sun like a dry creek bed, which is why there is a whole business out there selling replacement dashes for them. And the factory cup holder might be the worst cup holder ever bolted into a truck. It was angled in a way that would fire a can of pop straight into your lap, or tip it sideways onto the radio. Folks hated it so much that buying a replacement console cup holder is still one of the first things owners do. But I would take a cracked dash with simple round gauges over a glossy touchscreen any day of the week, which brings me to the one that really grinds my gears. Number 6. Climate controls you could work with your eyes still on the road. On the old Ram, you had 3 knobs, one for the fan, one for the temperature, one for where the air goes. You reached over without looking, felt the knob, turned it, done. Now go sit in a newer Ram with the big touch screen. Say you just want to change the cabin temperature. On some of them, you have to tap into a comfort menu and drag a little bar up and down with your finger while you are trying to drive. I have had these trucks in the shop where a software update scrambled the climate control and the owner could not even turn the heat down without pulling over. I have seen the big 8.4-inch screen on these things start peeling apart at the edges. I have seen them go totally black, and when the screen dies, you lose your radio and your air conditioning and your defrost all at once, because they ran everything through one piece of glass. A knob can't crash. A knob does not need a software update. When a knob breaks, it is a 5-minute fix and a cheap part. I made a whole video a while back tearing into how much of the modern truck leans on that one screen, and this is exactly the kind of thing I was talking about. Number 5, manual locking hubs. This one's for the 4x4 crowd. On a lot of older trucks, if you wanted the front axle to actually drive, you'd hop out, walk to each front wheel, and twist a little dial on the hub to lock it in. Twist it back when you're done. Why would anybody put up with getting out in the mud to do that? Because when those hubs are unlocked, the whole front axle and front drive shaft just stops spinning. Less drag, better fuel mileage, and your front U-joints and gears aren't wearing themselves out while you cruise the highway in 2-wheel drive. Now here's the thing that drives the Dodge guys up a wall. These Rams from the 1990s mostly came with a vacuum-operated setup in front instead of real manual hubs, and that vacuum system fails all the time. So owners take it into their own hands. They spend real money on a conversion kit to put true manual locking hubs back on, just to get rid of the factory electronics. Think about that. People are paying to make their truck more old-fashioned because the old way was more reliable. On the brand new trucks, there is no hub at all. The front axles just spin all the time, and if the 4x4 system throws a fit, you've got no backup. You are calling a tow truck. Dodge didn't just stop improving things. They took one away in the middle of the 90s quietly and almost nobody noticed. Number 4, the vent window. If you've only ever been around the newer trucks, you might not even know what this is. On the first generation Ram, the one they built up through 1993, the front doors had a little triangle of glass up by the mirror that swung open on a small hinge. You would crack it open and it scooped fresh air right into the cab without the wind. Roar you get from dropping the big window. On a hot day with no air conditioning, that little window moved more usable air than the dinky dash vents ever could. Old-timers will tell you it was also where the cigarette smoke went, and where the ashtray got its workout. Here's the part that surprises people. When Dodge redesigned the Ram for 1994, they deleted the vent window completely. They pulled that triangle of glass out, made the door window one solid pane, and moved the side mirror into the spot where the vent used to live. So even inside the 90s, the older Ram had something the newer one lost. And folks miss it so much that there's a whole little industry making slide-in vents you can add to a modern truck. When people are buying extra parts just to add back something your grandpa's truck came with, you know the engineers got it wrong. Number 3. The 40-20-40 bench seat with the fold-down workstation in the middle. All right, sit back down inside because this next one is the feature I get the most angry letters about whenever I bring it up. This thing was clever. You had a bench, so you could legally seat 3 people across the front, but the 2 outside sections reclined on their own, so it wasn't the flat church pew you're picturing. And the middle section folded down into an armrest that opened up into a little office. There was room for your paperwork, a slot sized for a car phone back when those were the size of a brick, and spots for your cassette tapes. Dodge sold it as a rolling workstation, and for a guy running a job site out of his truck, that's exactly what it was. So here is what they did instead. The fancy new trucks ripped the bench out and dropped in 2 captain's chairs with a giant console between them. And here's my hot take, and I already know the comment section is coming for me. Those 2 bucket seats made the truck worse. You went from a vehicle that could carry 3 across the front and fold flat for a work surface to a soft 2-seat cab that calls itself luxury. A truck should be able to haul people and stuff. The day they decided the front of a pickup only needed 2 seats is the day they stopped building a work truck and started building a fashion statement. You can still get a bench on the cheap trims, sure. On the trucks everybody actually wants, it's gone. Number 2, the floor-mounted transfer case lever. But the feature that really shows you how the whole philosophy changed is the way you put the truck into 4-wheel drive. So let's talk about that lever. Remember that $900 repair I told you about at the start? This is the truck that didn't have that problem. On the old Ram, putting it in 4-wheel drive meant grabbing a stubby lever down by your knee and physically shoving it into gear. That lever is hooked straight to the transfer case with simple metal rods. When you move it, you are physically moving the gears yourself. There's almost nothing in there to break. No motor, no sensor, no computer deciding whether you're allowed to be in low range. And you can feel it lock in, which a lot of old-timers prefer because they trust a solid clunk through the floor more than they trust a little light on the dash that might be lying to them. On the new trucks, it is a knob you turn, and behind that knob there is an electric motor and a small sensor doing the shifting for you. When that motor dies, and they do die, you're staring at around $900 to $1,000 for the part and the labor just to get back what a $10 lever did for free. I have replaced a stack of those electric shift motors over the years. I have never once replaced a transfer case lever, not a single one, because there is nothing in it to fail. And that brings us to number 1. This is the one the whole cult following is built on, and the one I would go buy tomorrow if I found a clean example. Number 1, the 12-valve Cummins, and that beautiful, dumb mechanical injection pump. If you know Rams, you knew this had to be the top of the list. From 1994 to 1998, you could get a Ram 2500 or 3500 with the 5.9-liter Cummins inline 6 and the Bosch P pump. And what makes that engine special is not the power. The early ones only made around 175 horsepower. The best of them, 215. A modern half-ton gas motor will smoke it in a drag race. What makes it special is that it barely needs electricity to even run. The fuel system is all mechanical. The pump, The lines, the injectors, all of it runs on cams and springs and pressure, with no computer telling the fuel where to go. The guys who build these for a living like to say the 12 valve is too dumb to die. You can pick up an easy 70 to 100 horsepower with hand tools and $0 in parts just by adjusting the pump. A set of injectors is a few $100. On a new diesel, a set of injectors can run you $3,000. And these engines go 500,000 miles. Now line that up against what they sell today. The modern Cummins is wrapped in emissions gear, the soot filter, the valve that pumps the exhaust back through, the fluid you have to keep topped off, and when that stuff clogs or fails, it gets ugly fast. I had a guy with a newer 2500 staring down a $4,000 to $5,000 bill at the dealer just to deal with a plugged soot filter. He found the part himself for $1,700, and we did it right in his driveway. A lot of folks get so fed up they rip the emissions gear off entirely. I get the frustration, I do, but I have to be straight with you. Taking that hardware off is illegal on a truck you drive on the road, and the fines are no joke, so I am not telling you to do it. I am just telling you why the old mechanical engine, the one that never had any of that to begin with, is the one everybody actually wants. So that's where I land. The new Rams are smoother and they tow more, no argument from me. But a truck is a tool. You should be able to fix it, beat on it, and trust it to tell you what is wrong without a screen getting in the way. The 1990s Ram got that, and somewhere down the line, a lot of it got designed right out of the truck, all in the name of luxury and emissions and convenience. And if you're driving one of the newer trucks, do yourself a favor before you click off. There's a $40 part that quietly prevents the Hemi tick, the noise that turns into a multi-$1,000 engine job if you ignore it. I put it to the test, and the results are on screen right now. If your Hemi has ever made a sound you couldn't explain, you're going to want to see this one. I'll see you in the next one.